Hello and welcome back to the Greenhorn Photo Taker. Today we begin a story of a 3-day trip from the Catskills to the Berkshires, from several inches of snow to 65 sunny degrees on the shores of the Hudson River, from my birth town of Vernon, New Jersey to the top of the Taconics, and with a seemingly continuous view of the snow-capped Slide Mountain wilderness. My greenhorn ways got in the way of keeper photos from gorgeous destinations such as Allender Mountain, Bash Bish Falls, Mount Washington State Forest, and Minnewaska State Park. Despite some poor planning and SD card failures, it was still a most enjoyable trip to Western Massachusetts. For over a week heading up to this trip, I closely watched the long-range weather forecast for the Catskill Mountains. I have long wanted to take a hike along the Appalachian Trail near the North-South Lake campgrounds outside the small town of Catskill, New York. I had my lodging picked out in a top-notch brew pub calling my name, only to watch in small horror as the unthinkable happened. A late-season nor'easter and a forecast of 6 to 14 inches of snow that would ruin my plans. Undeterred, however, I decided to head east to the Berkshire Mountains of Massachusetts instead, but take the long route and see how this late April snow looked for myself. First stop was my birthplace of Vernon, New Jersey, and the spring vibes along the Appalachian Trail Boardwalk. This was a quick but worthy destination, with dogwoods abloom and the pale green foliage of early spring peeking out from many trees. I almost enjoy this time of year as much as the vibrant reds and oranges of autumn. From here, I continued north towards an old favorite and long sought-after photo opportunity, the deep blue of Lake Minnewaska in front of the snow-capped peaks of the Catskill Mountains. For years, I've wanted to see this for myself, and it was finally time. Of course, my greenhorn ways struck hard. GoPros can be finicky, and while mine had recorded about 24 clips already in the day, I got impatient with a random system freeze and decided to take the battery out, rather than wait for it to self-resolve. The result? A loss of all files from both the Boardwalk and Minnewaska State Park, and not to mention some lovely driving footage I lost along the way as well. Heartbroken, I've resolved to make the most of it with B-roll and a voiceover, which brings us about up to speed for the moment. Minnewaska itself was in top form, and despite 35-mile-an-hour wind gusts, I was able to raise my shutter speed and capture a few photos that I will long since remember. Look at the character of this location, the foreground of the ledge and the animal face sticking out of that Shawangunk grit, the deep blue midground of the 80-foot deep glacial lake, and of course those wonderful snow-capped Catskills in the background. The bright sun keeps this from being a stunning photo, but I am more than happy with it and enjoyed every single moment. I spent in all maybe an hour on these ledges, just soaking in the scenery, taking B-roll, and enjoying what I could. Northward bound next, past the Rondout Reservoir, I headed for the highest paved road in the Catskills, Route 47 from Claryville to Oliviera, splitting Big Indian Wilderness from Slide Mountain Wilderness. My goal? Find that cursed snow that changed my road trip plans. I figured that driving the highest elevated road in the Catskills would allow me to see the snow accumulations grow from nearly nothing in the valleys to at least some moderate accumulations alongside the road as it inclined into the Catskills and Slide Mountain wilderness.
TV, cheap wine. Showing up late, then we'll work on a quarter time. Now we'll get locked up, hold my breath, sing my heart out, beat my chest for my babe. Let our hearts beat a time, let the love go on and on now, my babe. What do you get when you add it up? The same walls every day and night. But there you are, down somewhere we used to know, we used to go. What do I do when the skies open up their rain? What do I say when the pressure comes down my leg? Oh, I would get locked up, hold my breath, sing my heart out, beat my chest for my babe. Let our hearts beat a time, let the love go on and on now, my babe, my babe. Sign my name, hold my breath, sing my heart out.
So, yep, we're at a point where I have no idea what I'm doing. I am at, I think it's a fishing spot, but I just want to walk around in the snow and I hear a stream ahead of me. And I don't see no trespassing signs in this direction. They are seemingly in every direction except this one. So I'm gonna risk it a little bit and see if I can get access down to a creek and take a picture of the snow. So I looked up the highest paved road in the Catskills, and it's in Claryville, New York. So just took a drive up there to find some snow, and that was a success. Oh, here you go. Here is a stream. Really doing this? Am I really doing this? Well, I'm not sure it's worth it, but I do get to take a water picture in the snow, even if it's not a keeper. So apparently this is the Neversink River, and it is quite lovely. I'm enjoying myself here. No need to take out the tripod. There's not really a spectacular image, and it's definitely too bright out to try anything with long exposure. The water has reflections from direct sunlight all over the place, and that just doesn't work with long exposure. So I'm just spending a few minutes, you know, taking snapshots with the Sony, and recording some audio and video with the Sony, as well as my own Pixel. I don't use the Pixel enough, my cell phone, so I'm trying that as well. All right, I'm going to head back up this hill. It looked hard getting down, but it wasn't too bad, so I'm not too concerned about getting back up. That's what we're out here for anyway, right? Challenge yourself a little bit, have a little bit of an adventure, and enjoy every moment.
Small stakes give you blues. If you don't feel taken, don't think you've been used. Cause it's alright Friday night to Sunday. It feels alright, keeps your mind on the page. Oh yeah, small stakes ensure you the minimum blues. But you don't feel taken and you don't feel abused. Small stakes tell you that there's nothing can do. Can't think big, can't they pass one or two? Well, alright. Sell ourselves short the field very well. We provide, always provide a small town danger in your mid-sized car. I don't dig the stripes, but I'll go for Hummer. The big elevation on the minimum wage is lines up your nose, but your life on the page. So come on, tell me I'm wrong. Small stakes, with good time, when you're stuck back of the line. It feels alright Friday night to Sunday. Oh, it feels alright, keeps your mind on the page. The small stakes bring you where you're caught in a rut. You feel so uptight, you just wanna throw it all up. The small stakes leave you with the minimum blues. Can't they big, can't they pass one or two? So come on.
As we roll into Great Barrington, Massachusetts, the wonderful little town with a vibrant food and beer culture, frankly, that will serve as the staging area for an epic hike up Allendale Mountain tomorrow, it's time to reflect on my photo taking skills on the day. What follows are a few shots in 3 locations, and I've included both pictures from the Sony A6600 and my Google Pixel phone. And I'm interested, if you're still with me, place a comment below for whichever ones you like better. I think there are merits to both, and it is entirely frustrating to see the Google Pixel, a cell phone, take pictures that, can withstand some scrutiny in terms of how they look compared to a several $1,000 kit. First up is a shot from the Appalachian Trail Boardwalk in New Jersey, Vernon. And I think this actually might be, I shouldn't say it, but it might be my favorite photo of the day. I love the pale green tree in the back right, and in almost center of frame is that white dogwood. And I think it's anchored a bit by this dead, fallen over type of tree on the left. Now, I really struggled a bit on this location. What is the proper frame? If I put the dogwood in the center, then the dead scrub brush or scrub tree would be cut down the middle, and that didn't look right. If you really look at it, you can see the dogwood is not even on the rule of thirds. But I think the combination of the dogwood and the pale green tree on the right with the large, mid-ground dead tree, that kind of anchors it all together. And of course you have that wonderful ridgeline in the background with some pale blue skies and those white wispy clouds. So I think this photo does a lot for me, and I ended up being very satisfied with it. Next up is a shot from the Sony camera of Lake Minnewaska, right? Clearly this was my purpose for the first day of the trip. What could I tease out of Lake Minnewaska? So I thoroughly enjoyed this photo. It's got that wonderful, Shawangunk grit rock in the foreground, even that, it almost looks like a dog face to the right with those rocks jutting out and protruding. The lake itself, and then those wonderful pines in the mid-ground. You can see the visitor center up there as well. I almost decided to try to take that out of the photo, but that would have been inappropriate. I think that's going too far for my personal taste, so I left it in. And then, of course, the great Catskill Mountains in the background, where you can really see some of the snow-capped peaks. I believe that is Slide Mountain on the right. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I really like this photo. So this one was with the Sony. And here is one with the Pixel. Not the same composition, but it really looks pretty good to me. So right away what I notice is the colors are a little bit more vibrant on the Pixel. But the background, if you look really close at the Catskills in the background, they kind of lose some detail that wasn't lost on the Sony. So surprisingly, the Pixel really holds up here for me. It's not perfect by any means, but I would never feel bad posting something like this to social media and passing it off as a legit, photo that I worked hard for. The Pixel really came through here. And then finally, the last 2 shots are of the Neversink River. These are not great shots by any means. This one is with the Sony. You saw me standing in the middle of the river on a rock. There's not much to do with the scene here. I just wanted to have some of the white snow and the green pines coming across the top. Probably would have been better to wait for a cloud. I did struggle with the brightness in certain areas here. Doing a little dodging and burning didn't really help too much. Anyway, just a snapshot of the river. And here, the Pixel, with a similar snapshot and using the wide-angle lens, it did struggle, I would say, with the shadows, but I kind of like it, right? The left-hand side is in shadow and the right-hand side is in sun. So in its way, it works too, but here I do think that the Sony came through with a better picture. So yeah, like I said, I'd love to know what you think as well. Does the Sony clearly outperform a cell phone, or does the cell phone have its merits that we shouldn't just disregard them. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Next installment in a few days will be the hike up Allendare Mountain. The hike itself was very good. The view at the top was to die for. I absolutely loved it. And along the way, there was a great stream with some waterfalls as well. That we'll just have a guided tour for the hike on our next installment. Thanks for watching. Get out and explore.